Hello guys and welcome to my new video. I'm very excited about this one because Blizzard has implemented some huge changes towards Holy Paladin in the War Within beta. I got to test it out in Mythic Plus Dungeons, I got to test out the new talents, I got to test out the new changes. So let's talk about the positives, negatives, and anything in between. Again, I don't want to dilly-dally. The main two things that happen to Holy Paladin, and they're pretty huge. First of all, Daybreak is gone, and this is Blizzard's ongoing effort in terms of trying to reduce the button bloat for Holy Paladin. Now, Daybreak was something that was introduced in Dragonflight, and it's relatively interesting to see that it's already being removed, which is maybe a testament to the fact that the Holy Paladin rework in Dragonflight wasn't as successful as they first thought. Now, I know there's going to be mixed opinions about the removal of Daybreak. Some people like Daybreak, some people like playing around Daybreak, and other people are probably viewing Daybreak as button bloat. But that's honestly not the biggest news. The biggest news that happened to Holy Paladin is Glimmer of Light is gone. It's also being removed, and I think this is a massive change to the whole Holy Paladin gameplay, to the whole toolkit, because Glimmer of Light has been a pretty big part of your rotation for a really long time. Now, this is bittersweet to me because if we historically look at Glimmer of Light, I was playing my Holy Paladin in BFA with that, again, maybe somewhat degenerate gameplay. Remember Ineffable Truths, remember Holy Shocks, Glimmers, and all of those, and just spamming. And I remember those times relatively fondly, mainly because the power of Holy Shock was really powerful, Glimmer was really powerful. Do you remember Uncapped Glimmer? That was also a thing. So I had really fun times with Glimmer. But I also can see how further down the line, in terms of trying to balance Holy Paladin, Blizzard ended up taking a lot of power out of Holy Shock, and then you had to play around Glimmer of Light in terms of trying to get healing. You might look at your breakdown as Holy Paladin, for example, in Dragonflight, then you look at Holy Shock, and Holy Shock is doing a lot of healing, but it's mainly, or a lot of that might be coming from Glimmer. It's not coming from the initial heal of Holy Shock. And the biggest thing that a lot of Holy Paladins, including myself, were telling or asking from Blizzard, make Holy Shock feel like it actually heals. And I think Blizzard is trying to do that, and the only way for them to achieve this is to remove Glimmer of Light, because right now, based on my testing, there are a bunch of talents that Holy Paladins have that increase the power of Holy Shock. And I think it's worth to expand on this point. I hope those talents to improve Holy Shock are going to stay relevant, viable, or easy to pick up, because personally I want Holy Shock to be as powerful as it can be. Running some of the Mythic Plus dungeons, Holy Shock actually heals. It provides a lot of my overall healing in the beta testing based on the few dungeons that I was running after the changes. And it was really interesting to see that it wasn't because of Glimmer, because Glimmer is gone. And I'm not gonna lie, the transition away from Glimmer of Light has been a little bit rough in terms of I'm still pressing Holy Shock on targets that are nearly full HP because I'm so used to applying Glimmers and playing around Glimmers. Keep in mind, they removed the talents that were related to Glimmer of Light, or they changed them, they introduced new talents, and on top of that, they also buffed your Holy Shock further. They also buffed your holy power spending abilities like Word of Glory, Light of Dawn, or Eternal Flame if you're playing Herald of the Sun. And in theory, what does this change for Holy Paladin? First of all, I believe Holy Paladin is easier to play now because you don't have to play around Daybreak, you don't have to play around Glimmer of Light. Your spot healing is increased because your instant cast abilities heal for more, which is basically what a lot of Holy Paladins wanted to get back in terms of their niche. So it's easier to play, your Holy Power spenders are doing more, therefore Holy Power is more important, which is another thing that a lot of Holy Paladins didn't like in Dragonflight, where Holy Power did not have enough of impact in terms of being a resource. Let's talk about some of the new talents that have been changed or added. In terms of extrication, Word of Glory and Light of Dawn gain up to 30% additional chance to critically strike based on their target's current health. So I feel this is one of those things that's trying to add additional power to your Holy Power spenders. You also have talents that are being changed or edited in terms of Rising Sunlight, because you no longer have Daybreak, and now you're getting additional Holy Shocks after using your wings or using abilities like Divine Toll. I also was trying out talents like Glistering Radiance, which is a new addition. You do have to pick up Saved by the Light in order to get this. I was testing it in Mythic Plus. I was also testing out new talents like Liberation, which is honestly not all that exciting in terms of changing up your gameplay. I also tested out Truth Prevails, which is adding additional value to a Judgment, which I want to talk about a little bit more because I want to talk about Infusion of Light and how to spend your Infusion of Light, or where is Blizzard going with infusions. Some of the more negative things that I experienced with Holy Paladin, we'll talk about that in the next section. They also changed Light's protection to take away the Glimmer of Light portion. Now allies with Beacon of Light receive 5% less damage, and I did try this out with Beacon of Virtue, and the tooltip looks like this, so there needs to be a bit more further testing. So this kind of covers the positives right now. I think the changes overall have been pretty nice in terms of making your Holy Paladin a better spot healer. Your heals actually heal in terms of your instant cast, that your Holy Power is more meaningful, and therefore don't want to waste your Holy Power, which makes sense, because why have a resource when you don't care about this, which happened in Dragonflight, and it's not looking like it's going to happen in the War Within. But what about some other things? In terms of Infusion of Light, in terms of testing my Holy Paladin right now, in terms of Mythic Plus, again, I didn't get to test out Holy Paladin in Raids yet, but Holy Paladin, in terms of using your Infusion of Light, for a lot of people who have no clue about what's happening to Holy Paladin in the War Within, they're changing a lot of things, especially with Holy Light. Infusion of Light has been changed to increase the healing of your Holy Light. If you're running talents like Inflorescence, that's also going to further increase it. So if you're getting Infusion of Light procs, your next Holy Light is going to heal for up to 150% more depending on which talents you're running, which is a very sizable increase. On top of that, they also reduced the cast time of Holy Light, but to compensate for all the buffs, they greatly increase the mana cost of Holy Light. So Holy Light, you cannot really spam it. You will, or you can have mana issues, and I think this is a clear indication from Blizzard that you should be mindful about how to use it. And it's very likely that a lot of your Holy Light casts might come from talents like Divine Favor or Hand of Divinity based on tuning. Now I'm saying this because Divine Favor was changed into a spell proc based on your Barrier of Fate or Holy Prism usage, and I'm expecting something to happen to Hand of Divinity as well in the future. So now with Infusion of Light, you have an extremely powerful heal in terms of Holy Light, but it costs a lot of mana. And you want to consume your Infusion of Light procs because you're using talents like Imbued Infusions, which provide CDR to Holy Shock, and you want to be using your Holy Shock for multiple different reasons, including Holy Power generation, but you can also add Season 1 tier set to this list. With the War Within Holy Paladin Season 1 tier set, Holy Shock will give you a stacking buff that's going to increase the healing of your Holy Power spenders like Word of Glory and Light of Dawn. So you want to consume your Infusion of Light procs, but let's say you can't do it through Holy Light because of mana constraints or some other issues. What about Flash of Light? What if I cast that with Tower of Radiance talent and I'm getting Holy Power back? And that's good because more Holy Power means more Holy Power spenders, which actually heal. The problem with all of this is that I'm not 100% sold on these hard casting abilities right now, because when you're in melee, you're dealing damage, you're providing or trying to get value out of your mastery. Again, you have to keep in mind the game classifies Holy Paladin as a melee. You don't get ranged abilities. So when you're in melee, using your instant cast abilities like Holy Shock, using your Holy Power spenders, and then you have to hard cast, it kind of takes you out of that whole melee playstyle. It feels like it interrupts the flow. And this is why I was trying out some of the new talents in terms of Truth Prevails. It adds additional value to your Judgment, and I was consuming some of the Infusion of Light procs with Judgment. Now keep in mind, in this whole section where I'm showing talents or talking about consuming Infusion of Light, who knows what the best way is going to be, if there's going to be further tuning or there might be further changes down the line. But right now, hardcasting in melee, I'm not a huge fan of that, and proccing or consuming Infusion of Lights with Judgment doesn't interrupt that melee flow. Look at some other implementations of melee healers like Mistweaver Monk, who has Vivacious Vivification. I don't think Vivacious Vivification is the cleanest way of implementing instant cast abilities or instant cast possibilities, but it has that option. And I honestly feel like Holy Paladin could use some sort of cast time reduction to some of your hard casting abilities through your base toolkit. And I'm fully aware of the fact that if you do end up picking up talents like Divine Favor, you could actually say to yourself that every 30 seconds I'm getting a reduced cast time Holy Light, but I just feel I would like to see something a little bit more. I see the new talent Liberation as somewhat of a missed opportunity. For example, Word of Glory and Light of Dawn have a chance equal to your haste to reduce the cost of your next Holy Light. This could have been cost and cast time of your next Holy Light. Of course, this could be tuned further, maybe give a stacking buff in terms of cast time reduction or something along those lines. There could be a million ways of achieving this, and I'm not sure what the best way would be. And I'm not telling you to remove every single hard casting ability for Holy Paladin, because I know there is a big divide between players who like Holy Paladin in terms of melee gameplay and players who like a more hard casting gameplay. And I think Blizzard is again trying to choose a middle ground here. All I'm saying is that, at least for me, when you're in melee using your instant cast abilities and then you have to hard cast, it feels a little bit intrusive in terms of gameplay. And in terms of button bloat, Blizzard is definitely trying to fix this issue. They removed Daybreak and they also changed Divine Favor. We talked about this already, and honestly, These two changes, you can actually kind of feel them already, but I don't think the issue is fully gone. I still think there are quite a few buttons out there that Holy Paladins are not really happy about. I want to know your opinions. Do you like Blessing of Summer? Would you be sad if Blessing of Summer all of a sudden disappeared? Again, there's a bunch of other abilities that you could also prune or change. Let me know which abilities you hate the most in your Holy Paladin toolkit. And a bit of a disclaimer, you're probably watching my Holy Paladin footage right now and you're like, why is Holy Paladin doing so much damage? That's because Lightsmith and Holy Armament with Sacred Weapon was it was implemented in a wrong way this week. They did quite a few changes to it and it was attributing so much damage. This has been changed and it's no longer going to be busted as you see it on screen. So the overall summary of the video, honestly, I'm excited about Holy Paladin. It's been such a long time since I was excited about Holy Paladin. I had the main Holy Paladin Dragonflight. I really did not enjoy the gameplay there. And I'm really happy in the direction that Holy Paladin is heading in the War Within with these changes because, first of all, it is simplified. You have more spot healing. You're not reliant on Glimmer of Light anymore, which, again, it's bittersweet to lose Glimmer of Light because I had some of the most fun times with Glimmer of Light. But recently, Glimmer was more of a crutch than anything else. So you're providing more spot healing, your instant cast abilities are healing for more. Honestly, there's a lot of good things that are happening to Holy Paladin. Some of your buttons are gone. I still think button bloat exists and it can still be improved upon. And I think Blizzard will improve upon because these changes give me hope. If Blizzard is willing to remove something as integral as Glimmer of Light from Holy Paladin, that they're willing to change anything about it. This is what I was kind of worried initially. I wasn't sure if Blizzard was capable of doing drastic changes to this class. This week, they showed me that they are. And so far, the changes that I've seen are actually really fun to play around. I don't think this is completely perfect in terms of the gameplay. Again, I'm not sold about hard casting and things like that. But honestly, looking at all the new talents that have been changed and added, I think they're pretty decent. I don't think they're mind-blowing in terms of, whoa, everything's going to change. I think the fact that they removed Glimmer and Daybreak is probably the biggest aspect of the class changes so far. The talents that have been added have been decent, and I actually think some of them could actually be improved upon still. Honestly, this gives me so much hope. I'm looking forward in seeing what they have cooked up in the next week.